This is KRT, Critical Race Theory. It's not the one they teach in law school, but the one banned in public schools. When slavery was legal, its supporters often justified it with the Bible. You might have heard of the verse that tells servants to obey their masters. There were also a lot of verses that abolitionists could and did use to argue against slavery. But you wouldn't find those in the blacked-out slave Bible. Most of the Old Testament is missing, and only about a half of the New Testament remains. This was done so that the enslaved Africans in the Caribbean islands of Jamaica, Barbados, and Antigua couldn't read or be read anything that might incite them to rebel. The Slave Bible was actually titled Parts of the Holy Bible, selected for the use of black slaves in the British West India Islands. Who directed these charges? Nobody knows. British planters in the Caribbean had long been weary of missionaries and could have demanded that they only teach enslaved people certain parts of the Bible. But some missionaries may have also believed that it was only appropriate to teach enslaved people excerpts that reinforced their enslaved status. Anthony Schmidt, a curator at Washington, D.C. Museum of the Bible, which has a copy of the Slave Bible on display, says whoever the Slave Bible's editors were, they're really highlighting portions that would instill obedience. The first Slave Bible was published in 1807. That was 3 years after the Haitian Revolution ended. That revolt was the only slave revolt in history in which enslaved people successfully drove out their European oppressors, and it increased American and European paranoia that the people they oppressed would one day rise up against them. The Haitian Revolution could have been a motivation for publishing a Bible without the part where Moses tells the Pharaoh to let my people go. Missionaries and planters may have thought that Christianity, at least certain parts of it, would protect against revolutions by teaching enslaved people to respect their masters. In this context, Smith says, the British may have thought that teaching enslaved people biblical lessons about obedience and accepting one's fate would help them be better slaves. The Slave Bible doesn't include Moses leading the Israelites to freedom, but it does include Joseph's enslavement in Egypt. Smith says in the U.S., some sermons aimed at enslaved people portray Joseph as someone who accepts his lot in life, keeps his faith in God, and in the end is rewarded for it. Now, doesn't that sound familiar? The Slave Bible may have wanted to impart a similar lesson to its audience. Passages that emphasize the equality between groups of people were also deleted. This included, there is neither Jew nor Greek, there is neither bond nor free, there is neither male nor female, for ye all one in Christ Jesus. The Slave Bible also doesn't contain the book of Revelation, which tells of a new heaven and earth in which evil will be punished. In contrast, one of the passages that remained was one that proponents of slavery loved to cite. Servants, be obedient to them that are your masters according to the flesh, with fear and trembling and singleness of your heart, and unto Christ. But the story of Joseph is not the only one that was included in the Slave Bible. Verses about obedience, humility, and submission were also included, as well as passages from the New Testament that describe Jesus as a servant. The message was clear. Enslaved people should accept their fate, be obedient to their masters, and have faith that God will reward them in the afterlife. However, the Slave Bible also has a dark side. It was used as a tool of oppression, a means to control and pacify enslaved people by manipulating their religious beliefs. It was a way for slave masters to justify the inhumane treatment of enslaved Africans to maintain their power and control. The existence of the slave Bible serves as a reminder of the atrocities committed during the era of slavery and the ways in which religion was used to justify and maintain it. It's a sobering reminder of the powers of words and how they can be used to manipulate and control. The 3 known copies of the slave Bible serve as important historical artifacts and as a reminder of the atrocities committed during the era of slavery and the ways in which religion was used to justify it. They serve as a reminder of the power of words and how they can be used to manipulate and control. It's important that we acknowledge and remember this dark period of history and learn from it so that we may never repeat the same mistakes. With that said, I wonder if there is something in that book that says, kill your brothers. This has been KRT talking about the Slave Bible. Thanks for checking in, and we'll see you next time.